Oh boy, I'm gonna have some fun today. If you have followed the channel at all over the last year to year and a half, you know that I have done a complete overhaul of my speaker setup. And while I'm really happy with what I have right now, which consists of a pair of Avantone mix cubes and the Atom A7X along with the Sub 8 sub, I've been wanting to try a little bit larger speaker. And I'm a huge fan of the Atom monitors. Thanks to my friends over at zZounds Music, I'm getting to do exactly that today and try out these Atom A8Hs. But before I get to that, I've had a lot of questions over the last year about why I've made some of these changes. So I would like to answer some of those questions and let you know exactly what I was not happy with and what I was trying to achieve by adding a new set of speakers and why ultimately I changed everything. For years I had a pair of Yamaha HS80s. I mean, a long time, well over a decade, all the way back to the old studio. And then I later added a pair of HS5s to that. So I had my small setup and my big setup, and the 8s I also had the sub with. And while I liked the 8s quite a bit, I did a lot of good work on them, as my ears got better and my critical listening improved, I found some areas with those speakers that I really wish I could improve, especially in this room that I'm in now. And first up was the high end. While very articulate on those 80s, and it was great, it was also brutally exhaustive. So I wanted to see if I could find something that was still detailed but a little easier to listen to for long periods. The next thing was the low mid definition or representation. I felt like that was a little lacking in the 80s. I did get used to it over time, but I had to check it on quite a few different sources to see if I made the right decisions, and I just kind of got tired of that, and I wanted to see if I could find a speaker that already gave me a lot of that right out of the box. I liked the mid-range though, so I wanted a brutally honest mid-range, but when I add that exhaustive high end in with that mid-range, I did find that sometimes like front to back, like depth in the mid-range was a little bit hard to hear. So I wanted to see if I could find something that had a bit better depth too. When I went between the 80s and the HS5, the difference in the mid-range was so drastic that I felt like I was always having to relearn the mix. And that got confusing after a while to where I just didn't work on the 5s that often. And I did most of my work on the 80s. So I set out to find a pair of speakers or another set of speakers that I could use along with the 80s. My budget was pretty low. It was sub $1,000. I really wanted to only spend maybe, somewhere around $600 to $800. So that kind of limited my choices. So I took a few mixes that I knew, grabbed their Nesto, and we went to a bunch of friends' houses that had different monitors, listened to our mixes on their monitors. We hit a bunch of the stores and basically just listened to as many different options as we could, and we had a short list of what we thought would work that were inside the price point that I was trying to hit. And the Atom was not on that list. I did at one stop happen to hear the A7X, and although I wasn't looking at them, I heard it went, wait, what is that? I'm like, that sounds fantastic. That has everything I want, but it was outside my price range. Well, went to zZounds, picked up a set of the A7Xs. They have the fantastic payment plan, so it allowed me to actually get something that was more than twice what I set out to spend, but I didn't regret it. Instantly, I was like, wow, I love these monitors. So over the last year, I found myself gravitating more and more towards the Atom A7X and not actually using the Yamahas, to the point where I just decided to sell the Yamahas. And then I added the Sub 8 to the Atoms, and then eventually, or just recently, added the Avantone mix cubes and went, this is the setup I really like what I'm getting. I get the brutal honest mid-range from the Avantones. I have everything else that I want from the Atoms. But every once in a while, my friend Barry Ruloff would come over and he's like, man, you really should have at least a set of 8s in a room your size. And while this isn't a huge room, it's about 20 feet deep by 16 wide with 12-foot ceilings, it is a decent sized room. And after a recent recalibration of the room, after redoing a few panels, decided that maybe I do need a set of 8s. And I also was thinking that my single 8-inch sub, so my 2 satellites plus the single sub, wasn't the best setup for the room. So I got a hold of my friends over at zZounds and said, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. They sent over the A8H, and here we are today. I'm getting to try those out. I'm really excited. They have good low-end extension already, so I'm hoping that I'll hear what I need to hear, sans subwoofer, but also getting that sub information coming from two sides of the room. I'm hoping that maybe I can get a bit more even bass response in the room. So anyway, that's my journey over the last year of starting with my Yamaha setup that I had for years and years and years and years, working over to an only Atom, and then adding the mix cube in. So without further ado, let's get back to the Atom A8H. Boom. You thought I was gonna do an unboxing video, didn't you? Nope, nope, not gonna happen. Not a fan of unboxing videos. Go away, box. Wait, I might need that. First thing I noticed as I pulled them out of the box is these are really nice looking speakers. While not the most important thing, obviously, when it comes to speakers, it is gonna make them look good when they're up there behind the console. They feature an 8-inch subwoofer, hence the name A8H, a 3.5-inch mid driver, and the 4-inch X-Art tweeter. I'm a huge fan of these tweeters. Smooth, detailed, and easy to listen to on long sessions. Crossover points are 400 hertz and 3 kilohertz, and the frequency response is nice too, going down to 31 hertz all the way up to 45 kilohertz. So the bass extension with these is pretty nice, and I'm excited to see how that works out in the room sans subwoofer. So that's the meat and potatoes. Let's look at the features on the back. Available directly on the back of the speakers is a pretty comprehensive set of controls. You have bass, desk, presence, and treble. The voicing has 3 different options. The first is pure. This is the most flat, linear, and neutral response, and is the setting you may want in your critical mixing and mastering situations. The second is UNR, which is Uniform Natural Response. This is a more colorful response curve, and it's the same one found in many of the classic Atom audio products. The third option is where you can really get detailed, and that's the EXT. This allows you to change setting from the Atom Audio A-Control software, which you can download for free. And to access the software, which we will take a look at in a minute, there's an Ethernet connection on the back. Get a basic Ethernet switch so you can connect both speakers at the same time, and then you can control all of these settings in real time. Another cool feature is Atom and SonarWorks have partnered, so you can do a SonarWorks profile and load them directly onto the monitor so you don't have to run a plug-in in your DAW. I'm gonna look at all of these options in the next couple of weeks, but I'm gonna start with just setting these up. We're gonna take a look at the A-Control software, then I'm gonna do a ton of listening over the next few days and just allow these a little time to break in. I'm gonna see what I can get from the basic controls and see if I like that. And then in another video, I'll go through the whole SonarWorks setup and we'll do a profile, and then I'll compare the two and see which one I like best. But that'll be in another video. First, let's get these set up and take a look at that software. They are up. Look at that. I may have to do a little positioning with them because with them horizontal like this, the mid-range driver and the tweeter are at a little different height than the A7X's, but I may just tweak my listening position too, because I kind of want to try this first and just let them break in and just hear how they sound, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to take a break and do some listening, and then I'll come back and go through the software, which for you on the video will be like no time was lost whatsoever. Okay, after getting the speakers set up and doing my initial listening tests, I actually took a few days to do some really detailed and critical listening just to get my ears used to all of the new information I was hearing. Because it's a massive improvement over what was before. I mean, it's crazy how much more I'm hearing with these monitors. I'm gonna get to that, my final thoughts, in just a second, and if I feel like I've addressed all the issues I had from my previous setup. But first I want to take a look at the software because this is really cool. I had to install this on my laptop because my old cheese grater computer was too old to put the software on. So I have both monitors hooked to an Ethernet switch running to this laptop. So this first window is the backplate window, this right here. And this represents all the settings that are on the back of the speaker. And you can see we've been playing with some right here. And any changes here are represented in the back of the speaker with the LEDs. You can also save some presets, and we were kind of messing with that right here. The low and the desk are the same, but we were kind of seeing what happened if we dipped the treble a little bit. And this is also cool because with these presets, you can go back and forth in real time and hear right here from the listening position what your changes are sounding like and if you like them or not. And I think that's pretty cool. If that's not enough for you, you can go to the advanced settings where you have a 6-band EQ that you can further dial in issues that you're hearing in your room, whether you want to duck something or add something. I am going to do a little playing with this, more out of curiosity to see if it works before I get into the whole SonarWorks thing. But for now, I'm gonna stick with the backplate adjustments, take a little time to get used to them, hear the speakers in the room, and get used to the speakers before I go any further. You can also select between your pure setting and your UNR setting here as well. The next setting would be the SonarWorks page, which, like I said, I'm gonna do that in a few weeks after I've gotten used to the speakers and these settings, and then we'll do a whole other video on that. And that's a quick look at the software. I think that's pretty cool, being able to control all the speaker settings right here from the mix position and hear your changes in real time. But the million-dollar question is this the improvement that I was hoping for over my old setup? And the short and quick answer is this is a massive improvement over where I started with the Yamahas and even over where I was with the A7Xs. First off, the low-mid information is fantastic on these speakers. I'm not guessing, I can hear everything really well. I also think this is a better solution in my room than the single sub was, because I'm not fighting the crossover point from the satellite speakers and the sub. That problem is gone now, which I'm really, really happy about. I also feel like my low end and low mid is clearer than it was, which I'm really happy. Second, I have that fantastic high end from the X-Art tweeters. They're smooth, easy to listen to on long sessions, and they have fantastic detail. Third, the mid-range. This one shocked me a little bit. I knew it would probably be better going to the 3-way and having that dedicated mid driver, but when I compared the detail to what I get when I go to the Avantones, which is just that like brutal, honest detail of that limited mid-range area, when I go to the Avantone and back to the Atom speaker, I am still hearing all that same detail that's on the Avantone. I just get all the beautiful low and high with it. I also feel like the depth of the mid-range is unlike anything I've ever heard in this room. That's one of the biggest improvements and probably one of the areas that's taking my ear the longest to get used to, because I'm simply hearing stuff that I never heard before, in detail that I've never heard before. Loving that. And one unexpected change was the stereo image. And although these speakers are really in the same place as the A7Xs, or at least the mid drivers and the tweeters are, I really feel like my stereo field has been pushed out to the edges of the room, and I wasn't expecting that. So it's made everything considerably clearer, which has also helped with the depth. And I think that was another area where my ear just at first was like, whoa, what's going on? I don't know what I'm hearing. I mean, I even called Ernesto, and we did 2 days back to back of hours and hours of just listening. We pulled up every song we've ever used as a reference and just listened and analyzed it. And we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And both of us were like, wow, the detail this is incredible, the detail that we're getting. Depth, width. We were both hearing things on songs like, did you ever hear that reverb on that vocal? Or did you ever hear that delay decay? Just things that we'd never heard before, completely hearing in these A8Hs. So overall, I think this is a massive improvement. These speakers are fantastic. I mean, I knew they probably would be pretty damn good, but I'm even more blown away than I thought I was gonna be. So I'm really excited to get to work on them. I've got mixing coming up later this week, and I'm super stoked because I think it's gonna make my job easier and a heck of a lot more fun. Huge thanks to my friends at zZounds Music I have affiliate links down in the description to these speakers and much, much more. Please use those if you're out shopping. They help the channel and it's no extra cost to you. And kudos to the crew over at Adam Audio. These speakers rock. I'm in love. Thank you all for joining me on this video. I hope you're all doing well. Happy recording and happy mixing. We'll see you in the next video. I am starting a new trend of reboxing videos because unlike unboxing videos, these are going to be cool because putting something back in the box takes actual skill.
Dude,
Planning.
where it's at is unboxing videos, not reboxing videos. That's how you become a YouTube influencer.
It has to
Reboxing doesn't work, unboxing is where it's at. Is this what this channel's become? I can't watch this anymore.